I mailed and emailed Flash Stanley to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, February 3rd. He arrived there in email February 3rd, and he arrived there in mail March 4th. Flash Stanley arrived in the Baker household February 3rd, 2016.
They are made up of David and Rachel Baker, who are missionaries in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and their 4 children, Julia, Daniel, Timothy, and Esther.
The first day, Flash Stanley got to Skype with Rachel's parents in Wisconsin.
Stanley got to meet many of the Baker's friends that live in Mongolia. Dinah, on the left, is the wife of their Cossack evangelist, and Nazur is the daughter of another Cossack evangelist who lives with them. Stanley got to taste Cossack plov, a dish that they often eat.
Stanley even got a piece of chocolate cake, as they had a bunch of people over to celebrate the 6th birthday of their Cossack evangelist son. February 4th, 2016. Stanley helped Daniel with his math lesson today. This is Daniel's school desk. He is in 2nd grade. He is 8 years old. Stanley also listened to a book that Esther and Rachel read together, a book about Mary Breckenbridge called Mary on Horseback by Rosemary Lowe.
They also had a Bible study group over that evening with a bunch of Norwegian folks who are also Lutheran and are working with Mongolians and Cossacks in Ulaanbaatar. They meet each week on Thursday evenings and have a great time. Stanley enjoyed the fellowship and the chicken noodle soup. February 5th, 2016. Today they had a group of children at their house from their homeschool co-op group for a class in stop-motion movie making. Stanley got to watch the groups work together to make stop-motion videos using Legos, clay, and other toys.
Stanley helped the kids and Rachel make chocolate chip cookies, raisin, and nut cookies to give to the kids before they left. Stanley got to help make and eat another traditional Kazakhstan food called manti, which are meat, potato, carrot-filled dumplings. Delicious! At the end of the day, Stanley even helped Esther do the dishes. February 6, 2016.
They had lunch at this coffee house with Stanley on their way to piano lessons. Ham sandwiches and omelets, and Rachel had a caramel latte. UB is the nickname of the capital city, Ulaanbaatar, which is often hard for foreigners to say, so U-Bean is a play on words.
Stanley enjoyed the walk 40 minutes and minus 20 weather. This is a typical apartment building and the garages. Snow isn't shoveled here, making some roads very ice covered.
Are we there yet? Stanley asked quite often. The circular building in the background is called the Wrestling Palace. They were not able to take Stanley to a Mongolian wrestling match, but it can be Googled. It is interesting to watch. They live about 10 minutes walk behind that building. Time for piano lessons. Stanley got to hear Julia and Timothy play the songs they've been working on. They found a Cossack teacher at the music school, which is great for the kids to practice their Cossack, though she also speaks English. If you look close, you can see the blue line, which is the Tool River.
Special treat on the way home. Dave picked up Rachel and the kids in the car, and I am sure it was a first for Stanley because it was a first for all the kids. They went dog sledding down the frozen Tool River. Can you see Stanley sitting on the sled with the 2 boys? The girls had their own sled. There were about 14 dogs for the sled. February 7th, 2016.
About their day today, they had home church. Timothy led them in some songs, and Dave had a lesson on the Transfiguration. They took Stanley ice skating at a small place near their house, which is a basketball court that they flooded for the winter so people could skate there. They rented the skates. In this picture, you'll see a picture of their apartment building from the outside. Daniel and Esther and Rachel came home early with Stanley, while the others stayed for longer skating. They live on the 3rd and 4th floors. The one open balcony is the kids' room.
They ordered pizza for dinner from a place called Pizza Plaza. This is the table in their kitchen. They can fit a whole lot of people on it. Good thing Stanley is very small.
They showed Stanley the money in Mongolia, which is called Tugarik. The largest bill is on the upper right side and is 20,000 Tugarik, which is worth $10. The other bills are 10,000, 5,000, 1,000, 500, 100, 50, 20, 10, and 5, and a 1. They gifted Stanley with a Tugarik bill, and he was thrilled. He will bring it back with him to Noah and will pass it on to you. If you collected 2014 of these 1 Tugarik bills, you would finally have $1. You can buy absolutely nothing with only 1 Tugarik, but if you save up at least 100 of them, you can buy a box of matches or a single stick of chewing gum.
February 8th, 2016. Dave got up early with some other kids and Stanley to watch the Super Bowl. They also took Stanley out to the countryside today, as the pollution was very bad in the city. As you can see in the picture, the coal factories are working overtime to keep the city warm. But you see the gray layer over the city? They also have an app to see the city's pollution. Stanley was surprised to see that most of the city was red today. Over 500 is the worst air you can have. And as you can see, most of the city is over 500. One area was even showing 2020. South of the city of Ulaanbaatar, there is a mountain called Baj Khan. South of the mountain is a city called Zunmud. You can look these up on a map of Mongolia. So they took Stanley up to a monastery a little north of Zunmud, up in the hills. So clear, so fresh, such a wonderful view. And it got up to 20 degrees that day. So great weather too. This is a standing stone. You can see the face on it. It shows where a warrior was once buried. Can you find Stanley in this picture? This is a yurt, a Russian word for, or a jur in Mongolian word. It is one of the nomadic houses of the Kazakh and Mongolian people. What do Kazakhs call it? A kuzi uli, or a felt house. The kids had fun playing in the snow, and even Stanley got in on it. Timothy was buried. Not much snow falls in Mongolia due to the extreme cold, or maybe because it all blows away. But up here among the trees, there was plenty of it to play with.
This is a teepee which Buddhists often build at places they consider holy. High places, trees, and water are holy places to them. This little painted house looks a lot like a building from a Buddhist monastery. This one was just a little place to sit and rest in, but painted to look like a building from the monasteries. That evening, Dave and Rachel and the kids, along with Stanley, were invited to have dinner with a family of 4 people. Their friend Azamat invited them to come over, along with 2 other young friends of theirs, young men who have just recently become Christians. Their names are Talgat and Onerbai. The home where Azamat and his family of 4 live is a small home which only has 2 rooms. They had a small table and 2 short stools, a small TV, a computer, and cardboard boxes to keep their clothes and blankets in. A blanket was spread out on the floor for everyone to sit on to eat. The lady of the house prepared a wonderful meal of carrots, potatoes, and flat square noodles that she made herself, and boiled meat which the host cut up at the table. The tea was a salty milk tea. This is a typical Kazakh and Mongolian meal, especially when they have guests over.
February 9th, 2016. Today, Stanley got a lesson in making molds of Legos to create new pieces out of plastic. Interesting stuff, huh? He also helped make a salad that you should try. It's kind of like potato salad. The ingredients are boiled potatoes, boiled carrots, boiled eggs, sausage, pickles, and a can of peas. The can of peas you just dump in, but everything else should be chopped into small cubes. Mix together with mayonnaise and add salt and pepper. Delicious. Esther got her hair put up in ringlets this evening by a Kazakh girl who lives with them. Her name is Nazirk, and she is 17. Stanley had fun watching.
February 11th, 12th, and the 13th, Flat Stanley got to go on a trip with David and Rachel's Norwegian friends, Frank and Kirsty, who took Stanley as their guest to go visit some Mongolian families as they celebrated February the 11th, 12th, and 13th are the 3 most important days for Mongolians, but not Kazakhs. They are celebrating the Lunar New Year. The Chinese celebrate it too and call it the Chinese New Year. There are many similarities. Over those 3 days, they go visit their families, friends, and also host many people in their own homes. They eat bread, which is the tower you see in the middle, which has cheese and candy on the top. Over the 3 days, they go visit many of their families and friends and also host many people in their own homes. They eat bread, which is the tower that you see in the middle, which has cheese and candy on the top, lamb, which is the whole cooked lamb that you see in the picture, and also buz, which are Mongolian manti, but there are no veggies, just pure meat inside the dumpling. They drink Mongolian tea, which is milk tea with salt in it, and something called arik, which is fermented milk. These pictures are taken at their Norwegian friend's gur, or tent. Since their family works with Mongolian people, they are invited to many homes or tents over the Tsangad Sar, the name of the Lunar New Year festival, which literally means white month. Since Dave and Rachel only work with Kazakhs who don't celebrate Sangan Sar, they were not invited to eat buz with anyone. Kirsty and Frank also thought that Stanley would like to experience Sangan Sar. This picture and the next 3 pictures are also from Sangan Sar, which are also some more pictures from a celebration but at a different family's home that Frank and Kirsty took Flat Stanley to. You can see Flat Stanley in the middle when they're switching around. They still keep him in the picture.
February 15th, 2016. On Saturday, there was an ice festival in a village outside of the capital. They weren't able to go, but the Kazakh girl who lived with them said she was going and that she would take Stanley along for the day, so Stanley got to ride a bus. This was a Kazakh festival, so only Kazakhs celebrated. Stanley was the only one there who wasn't a Kazakh. What a privilege! Stanley got to meet a motka, or an imam, which is a Muslim religious leader at the mosque. Stanley was very impressed with the man's Kazakh robe and hoped he could get one before he had to go back to the USA. The festival took place right on the frozen river. There was ice skating, ice hockey, ice games, etc. They had a great time. He even got to see a Mongolian cow, which I think was a Hereford bull, on the river's edge, trying to scrape through the snow and ice to find some grass to eat. On Sunday, Nazarp took Stanley with her to a Mongolian church retreat up in the mountains. He had a great time with them, singing, playing games, enjoying the outdoors. Stanley is in this picture because he was taking it. February 26, 2016. Their homeschool co-op group went to the mall. They took Stanley with them. They went ice skating. It was a big new mall. They went to a dinosaur museum and Stanley touched a dinosaur bone. Did you know that many dinosaur bones were found in Mongolia? They have so many there that few weren't even behind glass and they touched them. Here's a picture of some of their homeschool co-op kids. Stanley wanted to ride on the go-karts, but no one was tall enough or old enough to ride them, so they just watched. They ended with some ice cream at the coffee shop called Cafe Benet. Delicious, a nice day. This is stage 1. This is stage 2. Noodles are slowly made longer and longer. The short lady in the bright pink is Tolkien, Nazark's mom. This is Julia holding one noodle. Look how long she made it. This is a picture of Stanley's bowl of noodles. Delicious. And here is the party. They made the noodles and ate them at their friend's home, Dinah and Azamat. This is a gym class with Stanley and the Baker's homeschool co-op group. They went to a violin concert recently at the Mongolian Philharmonic. 5 of them attended and they paid $20 for seats. The kids' violin teacher was a part of the orchestra. Burger King arrived in Mongolia recently. This is the first time they went as a family to Burger King, and Stanley got to go too. The last event that Stanley got to go to before his trip home was an Eagle Festival in Ulaanbaatar. Lots of people out in the middle of nowhere and falconers coming from Western Mongolia with their falcons to show them how they use them. Demonstrations and whatnot. Very cool. Stanley arrived April 4th, 2016 and had a great time with me.